All right, guys, so we have opened up into the vocab section. So, first thing about this is the main important things is that you have to read the text and understand what's going on and how it all relates to each other. And then the other thing is to eliminate. It's important to eliminate the problems or eliminate the answers as you tick things down. One way that I try to do it, and I'd like to encourage you to try this. If this doesn't work, that's okay. We can try something else. And feel free anytime that you're watching one of these to jot things down and shoot me a question or something. I'm willing to answer them. And of course, if I am not articulating myself properly in these and you don't understand, then we'll talk about it in person, and that will help you out. But this is just to kind of get your feet under it and to kind of give you some ways to focus on studying it. So, what I want you to do for this is not look at the answers. When you open up these types of problems, don't look at the answers and just read it and then fill it in with your own blank. I found that this helps me save time because you're going to have to read it anyways. So if you read the answers and then read the question, then go back and read the answers, and you're like, I don't know which one is which, it's gonna spend a lot of time in my experience. So let's just try this. So I haven't looked at the answers yet, and we're just gonna read. In the early 1800s, the Cherokee scholar, that person, created the first script or writing system for an indigenous language in the United States. Because it represented the sounds of spoken Cherokee so accurately, his script was easy to learn and thus quickly achieved blank use. By 1930, over 90% of the Cherokee people could read and write it. Two things there. One was the blank, and the other thing is this name here. You don't have to spend forever getting caught up on names. It could be Cherokee scholar Seth. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you can understand. Sometimes they throw these fancy names at you to confuse you. So just keep what you have straight and just get the information you need. Just because you don't know the name, that's okay. So based on looking at this, I'm seeing some themes. It's very accurate, and it's also easy to learn, and that made something happen. And I see later in the passage that over 90% of Cherokee people can read and write it. So my response to this would be like universal, or like it achieved a lot of use. That's the kind of that's the concept. So now I'm going to look and I'm going to see, well, first off, I see A, which says widespread, and I think that kind of lines up, but let's also prove why the other ones aren't. Careful, I don't see anything here about caution. Unintended, I don't see anything here. He created it to do that. I don't see why that would be an unintended thing. And infrequent doesn't make any sense because 90% of people use it. So, just by process of elimination, it has to be widespread. But even if it wasn't so clear that it was widespread, you could still use that process of elimination, because I'll go into detail of the Blue Book elimination and things that you can do while physically in the test, because there are some things that you can do, like looking at this, you don't necessarily realize you can, but you can cross off answers. So I think it's letter A. It is letter A, and it explains why here, and it also talks about why the other answers were not. So if that's something that you mess up on these things, it's like, why? Take a look to read a few of them, and if it's confusing, I understand. Shoot me a message, or just being like, all right, that's what it is, and we'll try to learn for next time. So the next one, I'm going to let you try to practice. That's the trick, is process of elimination, and just kind of not psyching yourself into it. Because sometimes you'll read it, and then you'll read the answer choices and then the passage and then the answer choice, and you're like, I don't know which one. It's just, if you go unbiased into the reading, you will be much more equipped. So I want you to pause, and I want you to read this and try to just read it without the thing and come up with that phrase in your head of what you think it is. So you do that now. Alrighty, so based on what I'm looking at here, we have an all-female cast in this play, and we also have multiple different characters. So in my head, I think that I would say includes. In both plays, the all-female cast includes an array of female characters, including, well, there's including again, but I feel like including would go there. It could go there. The idea of including goes there. So now I'm going to look at my answer choices, and we're going to see engulfs. It doesn't necessarily say anything about it being too much. It doesn't necessarily say anything about encouragement either. And it also doesn't say anything about provoking. Like, it's not saying, like, the cast is excuse that. Gotta shut my door. Oopsies. But it comprises. I feel like it comprises because, I mean, what other thing is there to say? And that's it. And there's an explanation there. So I just want, if you are still confused about this, I might make an update video of a few extra things to look at, or we can even look at this next one. You didn't see that. So take your time and read it. Okay. This finding may persuade researchers who have argued that the Bronze Age societies were also ruled by men to blank that women may have also held leadership roles. So when I read this all, it's a lot of saying that, well, the first thing that I see is that the researchers have a claim and they were very adamant on it. They have argued this for a long time, but they've switched over to a new idea. So I would say that they've argued that the Bronze Age societies were ruled by men. Those people argued that. Oh, I see now. I wasn't properly reading it. Persuade researchers who believed that to think or to change their mind, something like that, or to realize what it actually is. So we'll look at the answers. We got waive, we have concede, and we have refute and require. You wouldn't be refuting something if that was already what you thought it was. And it doesn't necessarily require that that's necessarily the case, you know? And waiving means, oh, that's not it. So I think the only thing left to be is concede, which means I had an idea and now I'm just gonna let go of that and create this new idea. You know what I mean? It's the idea of like, I thought this was right and it turned out to not be. And I think and I got this wrong when I did it, but even here it says that a lot of the things that you can see here is that it's proven by the text. So that's kind of it. If you have any other questions, let me know. If there's anything that you didn't understand, please let me know, and I'll try my best to clear that up. Give me feedback on how this is going so that I can improve the way that you are learning and the way that you are improving. And thank you. Have a good